Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Agritech Founders Diary. Here we have conversation with amazing entrepreneurs who are doing amazing stuffs in the agritech industry. And this evening, we are so super excited to be having our guests joining us this evening, all the way from Poland. Yes, right. So, but before we move on, I want to appeal to you guys. Please and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the like button and drop your comments, drop your questions, drop the lessons you've learned from our guest journey. I will definitely engage with you guys on the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. So moving onward, we have our guest joining us already, and we are super excited to be having you. You've been doing a lot of amazing job. But before we move on, I want you to tell us what I want to tell us about yourself. First of all, I want to know about you first before we talk about the business. She's an amazing entrepreneur in Poland. She has one of the leading vertical farm, and then yeah, she's doing a lot of stuff around vertical farm and agritech technology, everything around vertical farm and agritech technology in Poland. So without wasting much time at all, let's have our guest join us. Thank you very much. Tell us about yourself this evening.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Matylda.
Yeah,
I'm from Warsaw,
great.
so it's the capital of Poland.
Yeah.
I used to live in London. I've been there for 3 years. I did
Mm-hmm.
my master's there in international development and emerging economies. So it was
Mm-hmm.
also great opportunity for me. But I was also working there a lot in the restaurants and bars, etc. Like a regular student life. And later, I joined strategic consulting company. I was working there for some time. I left. I did some NGO work, and I also worked in a state-owned company, and I helped a charity foundation. And later, I decided to join the team of foodtech accelerator called foodtech.ac. It's like the biggest Polish and also in the CE, one of the biggest accelerator for food tech startups. And I joined them, and later I started leading Listny Cud. And that's work-wise, and more like 2 or 3 sentences about me. I really like to cook. I like to eat. I enjoy spending time with people that are close to me, and then you can do like a lot of different activities together. So I'm spending time with my family and my friends. I have a lot of siblings. I'm from quite a big family, so
Good.
and I also really like to read and to watch movies and especially documentaries. So when I have free time, when I'm not running startup, that's what I do. And one more thing that I really like to do is basically walking around forests. So I'm trying to do that as often as possible to spend some time in the forest to chill and recharge my batteries.
Great. So you didn't study anything around agriculture from your story
No,
so far, from what you told us. You didn't study anything agriculture. Why are you not into agriculture? What brought you into agriculture? You didn't study agriculture in your first degree, in your master's degree, from what you shared with us. So how did you find yourself in agriculture? And why are you in agriculture?
because the company I run is about vertical farming. And vertical
Yes.
farming means growing food in a sustainable way, and there is a lot of innovation. So when when I was offered to run this project, it was at the stage of a prototype. Yeah, so it had some know-how. It had first
Mm-hmm.
prototype, and that was it. This know-how was very valuable, and that was a very important fundament of the organization. But there was not much else. So I was a bit like, okay, we can try. If we succeed, then we can bring something new to Poland, bring something that helps fighting with climate crisis, develop technology, and produce food for people, which is sustainable. And one of the motivations also for me was I really like rocket. It's arugula in States, and in Poland, no matter where, when you get it, you have this in like 2 plastic bags. So I wanted to grow something that is healthy without pesticides and without single-use plastic. And one thing that my previous jobs taught me is that you really, if you know what you don't know, you can run a lot of companies. Yeah. So I'm not an expert in agriculture. So I have in my team people who know much more than me, but I'm good in managing and in a lot of, we can talk about it in a moment. Yeah, like there are a lot of elements of running a startup which are more related to creativity and some kind of stubbornness and this can-do attitude.
I see. I see. Great. Awesome. All right. Can you share with us some of the, now you don't have agricultural background. What are some of your challenges navigating the industry? What are some of your challenges you've had navigating your way around the industry? What are some of your challenges so far? Can you share with us some of your challenges you've had
Yes,
navigating your way?
definitely. Maybe I will tell in like 2 or 3 sentences what we do.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, we started with building a small vertical farm in Warsaw. And by
Mm-hmm.
vertical farm, I mean growing food in closed, controlled environment. Yeah, so we have like in the room inside the building, we grow microgreens. They are a superfood because they're not sprouts already, but not big plants yet. They are very tasty. They are very rich in colors, and they have a lot of vitamins, and they grow very fast. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what we started with. And what was special about us is that we don't cut them and we don't package them. We sell them in pots. So customers
Oh,
can have them at
nice.
home. And then this way you can use it, you can use them for a week. Yeah. You don't have this situation with like a lot of cutted plants that you open the package and then after 2 or 3 days it's all totally off already. So we
Hmm.
started with this. We've built our first farm from the scratch. And then after 1 year, we decided that we also want to build a technology. So we started building vertical farms in different shapes and sizes. For example, last year we've built a small farm for schools. We call it Narnia because it looks like a big wardrobe. And you open it, and inside you can grow microgreens. And it's mostly automated. You can steer it by your mobile app, and what is amazing, because I'm in touch constantly with this school, is that the kids are eating more and more greens every week that they like it, and they
Mm-hmm.
are more and more into it. So that's basically what we do, and we have all types of challenges. So as most
No,
of the
share with us some of your
entrepreneurs.
challenges. Share with us some of your
So
challenges. Some of the challenges
one
you've
of them,
had to navigate. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So one of the thing is that you have to, um, if someone is really good, for example, if you have an engineer or
Mm-hmm.
biotechnologist who is
Mm-hmm.
really good, he or she, then if someone is experienced, then they usually they want, and that's normal, like a really big money. And usually you don't have those money as a startup. So one of the challenges to navigate is how to be in touch with experts, but also have your team that is knowledgeable and managing this money wise. Yeah. So because I think that it's super important to have the most important competencies to have it as much in house as possible. Yeah. So we are not outsourcing the important things that are the core of your company,
Mm,
at least
I
whenever
see.
it's possible. So that's one
Mm,
of the challenges. Another one is that we are doing constantly something new. We are still searching on the market what is what will be our main fit, and we are also developing our products. So there is a challenge about focus. Yeah, so you do a lot of things You are usually understaffed as a startup, and you need to constantly choose what is most important and what can wait and what you can skip. So that's another thing about navigating, things,
Mm-hmm.
what to do. Another challenge we have is the fact that if in European Union, if you want to have eco certificate, you cannot grow hydroponically. So we have to
Okay.
grow, even if sometimes you would prefer not to, we have to grow in pots with some kind of substrate or soil. And that means that we have to adjust all our technology to this law. While, like ecology wise, it would be even more ecological to grow with less. Yeah, if you can grow hydroponically and you don't use any pesticides and you use less materials because you don't use substrate, that also would be great.
Hmm.
So, like
Awesome.
those are some of the challenges.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm super excited that you're able to navigate your way through these challenges. Well, I want to ask, how do you feel building this company? How do you feel like building this company?
Um, Excited. If that won't be the case, I won't be doing it.
Yeah.
But I also have, and I think it's another super important thing if you're thinking about
Yeah.
starting your own company, to have a
Yes.
network of friends that you can come to and ventilate
Could
yourself.
imagine. Yeah.
And exactly, because some days are great, and they give you a lot of energy, and some days are super challenging and very stressful. And for me, but I think like for most of the people, it's very supportive to be in touch with other entrepreneurs and to know that you are not the only one. Yeah, that like if you are thinking, oh my God, we are constantly running like headless chickens and we don't have time for anything and etc. And then you talk to some other companies. Some of them are already much bigger than you and they make more money. And they tell you, yeah, that's normal. Don't worry, like that's how it is. And
Mm.
one more super, like I'm excited because we have this strong mission, and that really gives me a purpose. Yeah, like we want to develop technologies allowing to fight with climate change, and also we want to produce food or allow other people to produce food in uh, prices which are achievable for everyone, like affordable for everyone. So our products are not more expensive than they are not like this super premium bio organic products. Yeah, we want them to make them on average price. That's also what motivates me, and
Oh,
that's how I feel most of the time about the company.
oh, great. Okay, I want to ask, how, now you've built this company, did you have you ever regret coming to this industry, agriculture? Have you ever regret or feel like quitting since you joined into this industry? Are there been times you feel like giving up?
Oh, yes, I already had those moments when but it's mostly because uh, this, like last year, is very
Hmm.
challenging because of a lot of aspects. Like we have today is the first anniversary of Russia attacking Ukraine, etc., and that's
Hmm.
impacting a lot of things in Poland. So so that was also, for example, so from starting with the fact that everyone in my company was somehow, and almost everyone I know in Poland was helping people from Ukraine, to the fact that prices of some materials, for example, steel, they went up like several times last year. So when we want to build our farm, the prices are now much bigger. So there are like more challenges. And yes, sometimes I have this feeling that, oh my God, I cannot do that anymore. But
Yeah.
then we do something new or we do something great with my team. and then I think, all right, that makes sense. Let's try a bit more.
Good, great. Awesome. Okay, I want to find out, or I want to ask, what are some of your tips? Share with us some of the tips that Agritech founders should use in trying to build a network of friends. You talked about building a network of friends, so they keep motivating you, they assist you not to quit. But now I'm asking, how do we build network of friends? Or share with us some of tips Agritech founders listening to you, some of the tips they could use or apply to be able to build
Mhm.
network of friends. Yes, I mean, very valuable network of friends. What are some of the tips?
I think it's about two things, maybe three. So one of them is um, allowing yourself to ask for help, because I think that this
Mhm,
intention that you don't need to know everything and you can reach out, and that a lot of CEOs of huge companies around the world, they do meet with other people who are wiser than them, and they ask them for help and for
mhm,
an advice. So I think that this is important to have this intention that you should be humble and you should be constantly seeking to learn. And that's like the first step. And the second one is to look out for communities online and to look out for mentorship programs. Because usually when you go to mentorship programs, there are a lot of uh, people who are similar to you. Yes, they are also entrepreneurs. So there you can find people who know what you mean when you are going for some kind of crisis, or when you simply need an advice. And sometimes I would say that if you are in a mentorship program, this network of people that you build is even more important than the mentoring process. So I think that's one thing. There are a lot of mentorship programs online as well. Of course, it's better to meet offline, but I think it's also good to meet online. And the third thing I do, how to say that, it's about. I know it sounds obvious, but I think it's very important. It's about being like a nice person and taking care of others. So like not to be transactional, and this way you build a really good network, because you when you have real connection with people, you don't reach out to them only to get something from them, but you also want to listen to them and you want to help them
mhm.
when they are in
Very
need.
important. Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
you build a network. Yeah, you don't even know when, but somehow this all, like, everything is circulating. Yes, and you help one people and later someone is helping you. So I think that's my third tip.
Great. Awesome. So what about the market industry? How are you able to navigate the market industry? I mean, producing your food is one aspect. Distributing it to the markets. How are you able to secure the market? Can you share some tips with us? How are you able to share secure the
Mm,
market for the yeah?
we are now still in Poland. We would like to go international, but I can say that
Good.
in Poland, we are in Poland. You have like 40 million people, so it's already a big country. Of course, it's not
Mhm.
as big as some, but it's not a very small one.
Yeah, yeah.
And um, um, that means that there are several markets and several types of like infrastructure. So um, I would say, like, we do two things. First, we try to reach out to some experts, because
Mhm.
sometimes when you meet with someone for like 1 hour on 2 hours for like coffee or online chat, they can give you a lot of tips how to think about stuff, what to focus on, etc. So that's one thing we do, is to start with research. Yeah. So someone, presumably, whatever you do in business, for 99%, someone already did it before. Maybe not exactly the
True.
same, but something similar. Yeah. So it's uh, it's very important to start with the research, how others are doing it. And I think like second element is if you have good quality products and if you have good offer, then you can try to reach out to big players as well. So we are a very small startup. It's like we are 7 people. We operate for 2 years time. You know, we are still at the beginning, but we
Right.
already cooperate with big international brands because we really did our job while we were preparing, for example, our presentation about us and our offer. And we did proper market research about the product prices, etc., etc. And this way, when we reached out to them, they were happy to start working with us. So I think it's also about making sure that no matter how big you are, the quality you offer is exceptional. And I think that third thing that is super important is to have everything calculated. Yeah, like only if you have your Excel like sound and running, then you can know what makes sense for you business wise and what don't. And I know it's not easy sometimes because especially in agtech industry, everything can take so much time. Yes, like either if you go on the field or if you go to the farm, everything can take like 12 hours, but it's very important to have this time to spend some time analyzing your spreadsheets and making sure that your numbers are in place.
Great, great, awesome.
Sorry,
Thank you
I will add
for
just one more
go
sentence.
ahead.
So like, because I mentioned this quality, but I think it's also, so if you have good quality, don't be afraid trying also with big customers. And also one more thing, I, especially at the beginning, I was listening a lot of podcasts about other entrepreneurs. And most of the time, I've heard that at the very beginning, they were selling by themselves. Yes. So, and that's what you should do for first few years. And during our first months, I was literally driving around the city with our products, going to small stores and bigger stores. So you should try with smaller customers, but don't be afraid reaching out to bigger customers because you never know.
True, true. Awesome. Thank you very much for those uh, insightful stories you've shared with us. But going forward, I want to ask, how were you able to raise funds for this business? How were you able to fund your business? Yes, that's one of the biggest challenges a lot of us are facing. A lot of architect founders are facing. How do you raise funds for your business? Share with us, please.
So that's a huge challenge, of course. I agree. We are now fundraising, and it takes a lot of time and energy. And I think that's like a starting point, acknowledging that it will take ages and it will be, and you will hear no over and over and over. And so in our case, we started with some business angels that were like friends of friends. So we were just reaching out to some people that we knew that, okay, they might be interested, they might have funds to do something like that. Later on, we got a VC funding, but this is a specific type of funding that we have in Poland, that it's like mixed of public funds and private funds. It wasn't like a classic venture capital.
Oh,
and right now, we are again talking with business angels. And so what we do, we look for lists of business angels in Poland and abroad. We go for events to meet people. We do research about websites. We about venture capitals, etc., etc. We are persistent, and I think also what is important to remember is that there are a lot of money for agtech and agritech in the world, and there are a lot of programs. online. So it's really good to do like constant research. Are there any opening, for example, projects or new types of calls that you can answer to. For example, there is this EIT Food, and they do a lot of things both in Europe and Africa and America. So I think that it's also good, especially if you are starting as an agritech startup, to look out for public funds, because there is definitely a market for that.
Thank you very much. But as a lady in the industry, have you have challenges because you are a lady? Are there these peculiar challenges that have to do? Have you have any? And if you have, how are you able to navigate? Do you get? So some people like, oh, she's a lady. Have you have any issues in the industry, in the agritech industry? Have you have any issues because you are a lady?
Um,
And yeah, and
I
if there was, yeah, how are you
uh,
able to navigate? Yes.
yes, unfortunately, but I think it really depends. How to say that?
Yeah.
In Poland, unfortunately, we still, in general, in business,
Yeah.
there are still sometimes some types of behaviors which are happening, and like, for example, that someone is joking about you in a way that they would never joke about men, etc., etc. But
Mhm.
on the other hand, if you're a man, then business can be brutal and people can be rough to each other. And I
Yeah.
think it's more about remembering that the type of connections and quality of business connections you want to build, it really depends on you. So if someone is behaving in a bad way, just don't work with them. And I know it's not always possible. Like sometimes this is this one super important client or your one investor that you have to work with. But I think it's also about putting boundaries. And for example, when I had a situation that I felt discomfort, so I didn't feel comfortable about the way someone talks to me. I later, after the meeting, I called him and I told him, "Hey, I didn't feel good about the way you were joking about me." Yeah, and they were super surprised, like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that everything is." I thought that it was just a joke, and I was like, "No, no, no. It was because it's not a neutral joke," and I didn't feel good about it. So also, like, just, and I didn't shout at him. I just told him that, "Hey, please, this is my boundary, and please do not cross it." And in this case, it worked. So I think it's also sometimes about raising these concerns. But in all that, I must say that I'm not in the very traditional agtech industry. Yes, we are an innovative tech startup. So I quite often deal with big corporations. We aren't based in the city, so I know that I'm not in this very traditional agtech industry, which in Poland is totally dominated by men. At the same time, if you know what you are doing, and if you know that you have proper wisdom, etc., I think it's also about persistence and having if knowing that you are doing it for some other reason than for everyone to like you. Yeah. So there, everywhere there will be people that don't like you, and you can just try to accept that and have your network of friends to whine to them later about all the negative elements that happen.
Great, great. Thank you very much. I think that was very insightful. At that at some point when it's lady in a business, they tend to some ladies tend to compromise. I think you have to have. I love the part you talk about boundaries. Have boundaries. You know, All right. What are some of the skills you advise agritech founders to build when coming into this industry? New agritech startups coming into this industry. What are some of the skills you advise them to
Mhm.
have or to build before coming to this industry? Yeah. Some required skills that you think every agritech founders or agritech startups should have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm, I would say communication, because all the time the most important thing you have are the people you work with and your team. So if you're a good leader, you can go through everything. Yes. So I think that it's super important to focus on all the soft skills. On one hand, it's important to focus on the soft skills and being a good leader, being nice to people, communicate with them properly, knowing how to manage stress, etc. At the same time, I think it's important um, as I mentioned before, to have your Excel, to have your numbers. It's not as complicated as it might sound at the beginning. You really, and that's I'm sure about. You need just like one day or maximum a week to learn some basics you need um, about how to build your company profit and loss spreadsheet. And of course, later on, you need to, presumably, this is not your area of expertise, you need to hire a proper accountant, etc., etc. But these basics, like doing a math, okay, does it make sense? What is my margin? Can I do that in on time for customers, etc.? This is something you must do, and you need to know by yourself. And that leads us to the third thing, which I think is like prioritization. Because if you're in agtech industry, you, as almost in every industry, you need to know what's going on. You need to have time to read at least a bit news about market, etc. And if you and when you're a business owner, you constantly have at least 200 topics that are asking for your attention, and you need to prioritize and find time for these things which are um, maybe not often obvious, like doing some additional research, etc. And the fourth thing I would mention is focus on the customers. Yeah, so every time start thinking about the end product and the recipient of your product. Yeah, like you don't do that for yourself. You don't do that because you think it will work. You do it because you think that someone wants to buy it, and you need to make sure first that really someone wants to buy it.
Hmm. Great. Great. Awesome. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you see your company in the next 5 years?
Uh, okay, we want to build smaller vertical farms, like up to 1,000 square meters, and we want to build them in several countries around the world, making sure that you can grow food, different types of, not only salads, but also different types of plants, like strawberries, tomatoes, etc. That you can grow them on an affordable price, that the food security is there and you are safe, and you can have good quality food. So in 5 years' time, we would like to be uh, on international, and we would like to be able to do both some commercial projects and pro bono projects, and we want to bring some innovations to the industry. The vertical farming sector is super interesting, and it's also very new. Constantly, there are a lot of things that are changing and a lot of things you can add to the industry, and we see some elements that we want to add. So I want to have some research and development done, delivered, and be able to say those are our products, and they work and they bring something new and positive.
Awesome. Great. Great. That's very great. Powerful vision. Powerful vision. Great. All right. As we begin to wrap up, I want to ask, if you were to start all over again, what do you think you would do better? if you were to start all over, now you've been in the industry, you want to start all over, what do you think you would do better?
Let me think. There are so many things. I already know I could do better.
Yes.
I would focus on sales faster. We were trying to make our product perfect, and we were having some technological issues. And I would hire a salesperson earlier. That's one thing. And another is that I would, one of many, as I mentioned, I would start fundraising earlier, because I was like, I had some time buffer, but it turned out that it was not enough. So making sure upfront that you have running capital, operational capital in the company. And I would focus on finding people with passion. Like, I have a lot of awesome people in my team, and especially if you're doing something innovative, you need to have this energy, this like attitude that I love it, I want to do that, and I think so. Yeah. So if you have someone in your team who is like not really excited, etc., then usually this energy won't bring you anywhere. Yeah, and this attitude and approach. So it's also about being okay with letting some people go in a very, like mature way, making sure that they find a good job next, etc., etc. But yeah, like making sure that people you work with, they deliver, etc.
Great, awesome. Thank you very much. I can see the passion you have for the industry. All right, but can you share quickly with us some of the opportunities in vertical farming? A lot of people are hearing about vertical farming. What are some of the opportunities for the younger ones listening to us? What are some of the opportunities in vertical farming that you think they could look out for, or they should tap into? Some of the opportunities in vertical farming. Can you share with us?
I mean, basically, the weather is changing more and more severely all around the world. So there will be a market for vertical farming. Like, this market will be growing, yes. So you can look for some vertical farming companies in your country, or you can start your own vertical farming company, because this sector is definitely not full yet. There is a lot of space for new companies, and there are a lot of elements, for example, energy usage and production efficiency and types of plants that you grow on vertical farms. This all can be still much better, and I hope it will be in the future. So there is a lot of areas that you can grow, and that you can find something good for yourself. At the same time, if you want to start with something new and you just want to have like a side business and you don't want to invest huge money into it, you can try microgreens. There are a lot of groups on the internet how to grow microgreens, and a lot of people who grow them in their garage, literally, and this way they make quite a good money, and they learn something about growing plants, and later then they can decide, do they want to build a bigger farm or do they want to stay small.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much for sharing that with us too. All right, as we begin to wrap up, finally, what are your advice for new agritech startups coming into the space? What are your final advice to them? New agritech coming into the space. What are your final advice to them?
it's about producing food. It's one of the most important things that you can do for the society. So whatever energy, like whatever you will do in this sector, if you are not producing pesticides, then it's very important. So remember that you're doing something valuable and something worthy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time so far. I'm super, super excited to have you on board. Let me say this. You are my first female guest since I started this show. And I'm so, so excited. I super enjoyed the energy in the room. I super enjoyed the interview. Thank you for accepting to do this with us today. Thank you for coming on board to share your stories and your experiences. I believe my audience have learned so much from your experience, from your lessons so far. We've been able to learn so much from it. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. I'm really grateful and I'm honored. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm grateful. I think it's on this note I'm going to call it a day. If you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit the subscription button. Don't forget to like this video and drop your comment. And don't also forget to hit the notification button so that whenever I come on live or drop us any videos, you can get the notification. Please drop your comments. We'll definitely engage with you in the comment section. Once again, thank you very much for joining me this evening. I'm super excited and I'm grateful. Is there we'll call it a night?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye.